Even people that love Tony Ferguson, he's a meme. I saw a photo the other day. People still think it would have been a competitive fight if he fought Khabib. Anyway, so Valentina Shevchenko has responded to Jake Paul. And she was upset because Jake Paul came on Theo Von's podcast and he was talking about Dana White. And he was talking about how he's running it into the ground and how he's ruining it, making bad decisions and stuff like that. And Valentina Shevchenko, this is kind of similar to the Golden Globes appearances by Brian Ortega and Mackenzie Dern, where it's like, how did they choose these NPCs with no personalities, or I guess a blend of having no personality and also being very unlikable and cringy? Why is Valentina the one speaking up? If you have somebody coming on Theo Von's podcast, and I don't know the numbers, I don't check the rankings and find out who's actually number one, who's the top 5, who's the biggest. I think Amy Poehler got like an award for being the biggest podcast or something like that recently. I don't know. But if you have somebody coming out on a podcast as gigantic and influential as Theo Von's, and they're criticizing the UFC, I would think, and maybe it's just me, I would think that you don't want to have a lady coming out defending the UFC who has to go on OnlyFans to pay her bills, to support her lifestyle. Anybody, please give us anybody else. Let me correct myself. Give us anybody else that's not also a UFC fighter who has to be on OnlyFans, because she's not the only one. She's definitely not the only one. And I think you guys could understand what I'm saying here. I don't think I'm saying anything that crazy. If you're going to stand up for this organization and say, no, you're wrong, they are doing the right thing, they are treating us right, they do have a fantastic business plan, you probably shouldn't be somebody who is having to put your body on OnlyFans. Probably not the best representative to speak out about this. And I think she was the same person. I wasn't really paying attention. I think she was, correct me if I'm wrong, that she was the same person that came out and was saying stuff when Khabib was talking about, I don't like watching ladies get hit in the face and see women abusing each other. I don't like. And she's like, no, women should abuse each other. What's wrong with you? You hate women. You hate women so much that you don't want to see them in danger. So I think it was her. And it's like, why is it always her? Valentina, do you have hobbies? Like, why is she? It's almost like she's refreshing, like refresh pulling constantly. Like, nobody better say nothing. I'm going to come. And I don't know if it's kind of like a attention grabbing kind of thing where you just need constant validation and you just want to make sure that you're being put in the right type of light. I would think it's the same kind of person that, you know, always has to be heard, always needs to be in the spotlight, always needs to have their opinion out there in the public, always has to maintain that relevance. I would think it's the same kind of person that ends up on OnlyFans. And I'm not a Valentina hater. I used to root for her like crazy. And I wasn't one of those like simp type of, you know, fans, but I would root for her. I didn't have anything against her, but you notice things. And I just thought when Jake Paul was saying the stuff he was saying, and I saw who was speaking out, I thought, this is funny. Why her? And she's always the same one, and she's on OnlyFans. It's just, I think, and you know what? I don't think that Jake Paul isn't correct. And I think Dana White in the UFC knows this. And I think we're seeing it shine through in things like what's happening with Ilia and Islam and with Arman. So let me touch on the Ilia and Islam thing first. There's definitely been a he said. There's like 5 different he's involved. And A lot of people are trying to come at Makhachev's camp and say that he's a liar because Dana came out and said it wasn't about money. It wasn't because Ilia wanted more money. So everyone's saying, Makhachev, you're a liar because Dana came and confirmed it. Hey, Makhachev, hey, Makhachev, you know how we always call Dana a big fat liar? And we can't trust anything he says, and he's a dirty vato, and he's just dishonest about everything. Well, he came out and said something that confirms what we believe. So now you're a liar. So the person that we usually never trust and that we call a liar, we're choosing to believe him in this case to fit our narrative to then call you a liar. So today, Makhachev, you're the liar. Okay? Just want to make sure it's cleared up because there's multiple liars in this story, and we want to make sure that you know that today you're the main one and we're going to trust him. Everybody is like turning on Makhachev because Dana came out and said something, who's also the same dude who's always saying, I don't have nothing to do with nothing anymore. I just got the shirt. The closest I have, I can't remember which podcast. Someone let me know if you saw it. Dana came out recently and said something like, I'm paraphrasing. He said something like, oh yeah, they just give me the shirt and that's pretty much the extension of my relationship with the UFC. He's trying to further and further distance himself from the UFC like constantly. I don't know nothing. I don't do nothing. I see no UFC, hear no UFC, speak no UFC. Like, okay, we get it, dude. We get it. It's all Hunter. But then they ask him, no. I know this, and that didn't happen because I said this, and we didn't tell him. So all of a sudden, he's living vivaciously through Hunter Campbell. I don't understand it. He's got that, like, he's been watching the White Files. He's got that projection down. Like, he ain't even in the war room. They took his key. He doesn't even have access to the war room anymore. But that dude's, like, seen through the walls or something like that. I don't understand it. Which is it, Dana? I was here. I saw a clip where he was talking to Aiden Ross about how he decided this and how he had a part in that and how they gave him just enough information. And now he's the ultimate decider on this other thing. I thought you didn't have anything to do with anything. And what it seems like to me, and I talked about this before, UFC has always been the most, we have a face company. The most. Like, you know the face. Like, if you talk about Target to me, if you talk about Walmart, it's like, who's the guy? You know, Target, well, I guess they have the dog, but that's kind of like, it's kind of like an avatar more than anything, you know? Like, who's the guy? UFC has always been, there's Dana. And then back in the day, it was, I don't know, the Frittatas or whatever. And then you got like Joe Rogan. And then you had GSP, you have Conor McGregor, you have John Jones, you have Chuck Liddell. Like, it's been nothing but faces. It is a face company. They're trying harder than ever to make it a faceless company. I've noticed. They're trying so hard to make it faces. They're doing the ultimate runaround. I don't know. That guy knows. Ask him. I just work here. I don't know. Ask that guy. I don't have nothing to do with that until it makes sense for me to have something to do with that. Ask that guy. And so you got Maoki Kawa saying, I talked to this guy and he said no to this, but then I talked to this one and they said it was going to be this, if only that. And we said, no, that doesn't make sense. And then we didn't hear back. And then they said, this guy said that. And this other guy said, it's like they're trying as hard as they possibly can to muddy the waters. And I'm hearing, the bottom line is we're hearing now, we got past everything. Was Makhachev asleep? What was going on? It was either Makhachev said or implied somehow that he was injured and he couldn't fight, right? His hand was injured. He had an owie. Or Ilia wanted too much money. And it's like, which one are we going to believe? Now, Ilia's own manager, this isn't Makhachev's manager. I know people like to hate on the Triceratops. Ali Abdelaziz, I know people like, oh, he's this and that. No. Ilia's own manager said that when the UFC offered a certain amount, he would, never going to happen. He's never going to take that. We're not going to do that. Right off the bat, he already knew who he was dealing with. So he already said, that's not going to happen. And he tried, he articulated, hey, we're not asking for anything crazy. We're not asking for 100 million. We're not even asking for 50 million. He's probably asking for like 20, 25 million. And the UFC did not do it. They didn't want to do it. So he said, doesn't make sense for us. If it's the biggest fight ever in history, UFC history, which they're thinking it is, that's what they're calling it, then it deserves the best UFC fight, biggest UFC fight in history ever type of money. His own manager said this. But people are so filled with hatred in their hearts that they're like, nah, we got to figure out a way to put this on Makhachev. Now, look, I'm not one of these types. I'm not one of these PC, let's make it political, let's be bleeding hearts type of individual. I know there's channels out there that go real hard on they hate Muslims. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go full Luke Thomas on you. I'm just saying, it's definitely real. It's definitely become a trend to be biased against people from certain types of regions. And it seems like, Jake Paul comes out talking papas about the UFC, saying they're failing. Valentina comes out, tries to defend them. But what they're doing, they're like, everything from this point on is going to be he said, he said, he said, he said. Let's make it a faceless company. Let's make things vague. And they've gotten to the point where they're in the business of anticipation. Back in the day, Dana would said, this is what it is. This is what I'm doing. Take it or leave it. This is the best matchup. This makes sense. Now, everything is so vague and so muddied up that it made me realize I think they're geniuses. Think about anything that you enjoy doing. Anything. Anytime a pastime or hobby, even if it's just eating at your favorite restaurant, whatever the thing is, when you're about to go on a date and you're trying to plan, you're trying to ask someone out or whatever, what's the biggest, most exciting thing? The anticipation. It seems like lately the UFC is in the business of anticipation. Making things vague and creating all this he said, and dragging things out as long as possible. It makes for articles, it makes for videos, makes for more buzz, more people are talking about it, more people are asking questions and arguing and bickering because we don't know. Now, if we just knew and someone said real black and white on a silver platter, that's a lot of color. They just said, here it is, this is what it is, boom. Then it's like, oh, well, no room for curiosity or speculation. There it is. But when they intentionally, strategically make things vague and force us to fill in the blanks and read in between the lines, they just did something brilliant. They went into the business of anticipation. Now we're on the edge of our seats. Now we're talking and having conversations more than ever because we're trying to figure it out. They made it an interactive novel. Remember those novels back in the day, like Goosebumps or whatever, Carmen Sandiego, and you could choose your own event, and you're trying to and it becomes like you're involved in it now. You're invested in it because you feel like you're making part of the story and you're trying to put the pieces together. That's what they did to us. Instead of just giving a straightforward, here's the story. This person versus this person because of this, they're ranked this, they're ranked that, they're fighting for that. Boom, nah. They make it as, they cause us to be as curious and suspicious and lead the whole situation to be as mysterious as possible. And it works. It's been working beautifully. And the same thing with Arman. Well, does Dana hate Arman? Does he love Arman? Is it Hunter? Is it the UFC? Well, Dana just came, again, this is somebody that has always been accused of being dishonest and slimy and lying. But Dana came out and said, I love Arman. I like Arman. I like what he's doing. I like that he's being active. Now, from everything that we've ever seen, we would think he does not like this dude. And he probably hates the fact that he's being active because he's, in a sense, diluting what somebody does when they just focus on UFC. And Dana came out and said, I like the dude, and I like what he's doing. I really don't like when he does crazy stuff like headbutts and stuff like that. But other than that, I like the guy. I like what he's doing. I think he's funny. I think he's entertaining. Huh? But then Tsarukyan told Ryan Garcia, I've never even had a conversation with Dana. So Dana's just like admiring him from a distance. Just like he was admiring Nina Drama's feet. Did you see that? I didn't watch the Aiden Ross stream because I'd never be able to live with myself after the fact, but I saw clips, and apparently Dana White had a senior moment where he kind of forgot where he was and was admiring Nina Drama's feet for a little too long. And anyway, so Tsarukyan says, I've never even had a conversation with Dana White. Dana said he likes him. Arman says, I don't even know the guy. So I don't know if Dana just likes him from a distance. So then we think, okay, it must be Hunter that hates Arman then. But then Arman tells Ryan, or whoever he told, oh yeah, I have a great relationship with Hunter. I talk with that dude all the time. Well, then who doesn't like you, Arman? Who doesn't like you? Well, maybe it's nobody that doesn't like him. I think that might have been a double negative. I'm not sure. I said it too fast, and I haven't had any caffeine this morning. I came out with a big glass of water, and I was like, oh, I was so, I had a revelation. I thought it was hilarious, actually, when I said it out loud. I was so tired that I forgot to make coffee. You know how you make coffee when you're tired and how helps you wake up and stuff like that? I was so tired, I forgot to get coffee. That's how tired I am today. Anyway, here's a revelation that I stumbled upon this afternoon. I woke up late. I think it's possible that the UFC, Dana White, Hunter, nobody hates Arman. Like, we've been tricked to believe. We have been fooled into thinking that they're against Arman, that they're burning him, that they're not giving him opportunities. Well, Arman showed his phone. He compared his bank account to Ryan Garcia's. Arman showed Ryan Garcia how much money he has in his account. And he didn't make Ryan blush. He made him angry. He made him frustrated. Ryan Garcia couldn't believe it. He said, but I'm a boxer. We're supposed to have more money. Oh, it's not about that. You got that different kind of money, Arman. You got that different kind of money because, you're connected, And I think a lot of us were thinking that the UFC is trying to ruin his career and sidetrack him and force him to do all these side quests. Well. I had a revelation this morning. What is it that makes the superstar? What is it that makes people fawn over somebody and think they're the GOAT? Think they're the best, buy the t-shirt, put the posters on the wall. I'll tell you, it's the strap. It's when you get, why is it a thing? Hey, champ, what's up, champ? Oh, good to see you, champ. And then we got champ. And now we got someone aspiring to champ. It's the title. It's being a campeón. That's what makes somebody like he's the man. And then when they don't get it, we make fun of them. By default, that shows us, that's what it's about. The strap. Even people that love Tony Ferguson, he's a meme. There's no escaping that. There are people that love the dude that will forever love the dude and they actually think. I saw a photo the other day. People still think it would have been a competitive fight if he fought Khabib. Anyway, you get people like that become memes. We call them bridesmaids. We call them what ifs. We'd say, hey, maybe you could try to fight for the BMF, right? That tells us everything we need to know. It's about the strap. Well, Arman Tsarukyan, I don't know if we've ever seen this before. Definitely not at this level. Sorry who was ever a runner-up, whoever had a similar trajectory, but no one has ever done it like this. Arman Tsarukyan has become a certain level of superstar that doesn't need a strap. He has become so popular, so famous, so likable, so entertaining, so this and that and this other, whatever, without even needing the strap. So now we have the UFC saying, hey, bro, hey. dude, let's maintain this as long as we can. Dude, do you realize how hard we have to manufacture dudes and give them the strap to make people like them this much? You don't even need the strap, bro. Trust us. Look, you're going to get there. We'll give it to you, whatever. I know it's important. It goes on the Wikipedia and everything. Let's maintain this as long as we can. We'll take care of you. You got your other money that you already had before you even got here. You're driving a type of Rolls Royce that even Dana can't get. You know, we got it. But we'll also still pay you good. He was telling that to Ryan too. Since the Paramount thing, you know how a lot of fighters are complaining? Not Arman. He said him, and you know what? I don't know if he did this by accident or what. He revealed the champions, the people with the titles, their salaries basically doubled. And he threw himself into that category. But you don't have you don't have to. They treat him like a champion. They pay him like a champion. Who else are they doing that to? We see all these other fighters that are moonlighting. They have to have different jobs and get on OnlyFans and then take part of their day defending the UFC at, Jake Paul. Arman's getting paid better than Valentina without showing his patas. Fool probably keeps his feet all dirty because he knows it doesn't matter. He ain't going to have to whip them out. That's a different kind of lifestyle, There's people that actively keep their patas clean, right? Because they're like, at the drop of a hat, I might need to whip these out. Arman's like, chale. That's a different kind of comfort level right there. They stay dirty. He don't even pick the fuzzies out. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to sustain that as long as possible. And Dana's like, yeah, that's what he told Aiden. I love the side quest. Keep doing it, bro. Keep doing it. We don't have to give you one of our titles. You can keep collecting all these other ones, and we'll pay you the same, bro. And that way we get to preserve other divisions and have champions. Because Ilia would... Could you imagine Ilia could never be as likable as Arman? He could never be as likable and as entertaining. Now, I will remind you so you don't think, well, what's happening now? I have started to like Arman less, and I think he moves a little bit dirty, and I think he's disrespectful to his lady. But, that aside, my personal perspective aside, Ilia could never. So they have to have certain divisions with certain champions that give him the strap so people could be like, oh, he's the man because he's got that. He has the strap. But other dudes don't even need it. And I realized that this morning afternoon. I mean, I feel like I stumbled upon something pretty brilliant. Would you agree?